All right, welcome to Hoops Tonight here at The Volume. Happy Sunday, everybody. Hope all of you guys are having an incredible weekend. Show number 2 out of 3 today. Earlier this morning, we broke down Cavs Celtics. This video, we're just going to go for about 10 minutes on Pacers Knicks. And then later tonight, after the final buzzer of Game 4 between the Wolves and the Nuggets, I'm recording with Colin Cowherd. So that one you're going to want to check out on the Colin Cowherd podcast feed. You guys know the drill. Before we get started, subscribe to our brand new YouTube channel so you don't miss any more of our videos. Follow me on Twitter at _JasonLT so you guys don't miss any show announcements. Don't forget about our podcast feed, wherever you get your podcasts, under Hoops Tonight. And then last but not least, keep dropping mailbag questions in the YouTube comments so we can keep hitting them throughout the rest of the postseason. The NBA playoffs are heating up, and so is the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. With same-game parlays, live betting, odds boosts, and so much more. Don't miss out as the NBA postseason winds down. So, lots of great odds for the second round. If you still think the Nuggets are going to come back and beat the Timberwolves, you can get them right now at plus 105. Thunder Mavs starts here shortly. And if you like the Mavs to win that series, you can get them at minus 105. And if you're new to DraftKings, you got to check this out. New customers bet $5 to get 150 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code HOOPS. That's HOOPS. That's code HOOPS for new customers to get 150 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. All right, let's talk some basketball. So this show is supposed to be live, and the Pacers literally beat the Knicks so bad that we scrapped the live show and just decided to do a regular old YouTube video. This was kind of an interesting game from the standpoint of the schedule. Everyone's going every other night now, and the Pacers and the Knicks played Game 3 on Friday night. Yet another crazy, intense, clutch time type of game, right? And so what was the turnaround? Like roughly 42 hours since the end of Game 3 to turn around, and that obviously was going to be a major advantage to Indiana. You know, there's been a lot of talk about the war of attrition for the Knicks, but the truth of the matter is every playoff run is a war of attrition. It just so happens that it's affecting the Knicks in a big way in this postseason run. But just about every year, you have to get a certain amount of injury luck around along the way, not just for your team, but for the teams that you're going against. Like LeBron said that in an episode of the Mind the Game podcast with JJ, which I thought was interesting. He basically just said you got to get lucky every single to be a champion. You basically have to get lucky. It's part of that journey. There's a basketball element, there's a talent element, there's a coaching element, there's all these different elements, but the war of attrition is a significant part of that. And Indiana has held up better physically than the Knicks have. And so they completely took advantage of that in Game 4. It was an ass-kicking from the jump. It started on defense. Aaron Nesmith is continuing to do just an incredible job on Jalen Brunson, staying attached, physical ball pressure, making him work to get to his spots. Obviously, Brunson can't shoot over the top of him as easily as he did Andrew Nembhard or some of the other defenders on the floor. Getting out in transition was really the story of this game for the Pacers, though, and that really is the bread and butter of their offense. Tyrese Haliburton is so good at kick-ahead passes. Everyone on their team runs their lane super well. If you're not ready for the track meet with Indiana, you can get run off the floor pretty quickly. The Pacers scored 7 times just in the first quarter alone in transition. I don't mean 7 points. They scored 7 different possessions in transition in the first quarter. The Knicks looked tired. Like I said, we're going to get a little bit deeper into that in a minute. Overall, in transition, according to Cleaning the Glass, Indiana had a 187 offensive rating. So that means they score 187 points per 100 transition possessions. That's just off the charts good. Started with that usual pace that Tyrese Haliburton brings that we were talking about earlier, kick-ahead passes, guys running their lanes. But then TJ McConnell and Obi Toppin in particular with that second unit came in, and they just continued that onslaught. TJ immediately took Jalen Brunson off the bounce and got an and one. Those transition pushes we were talking about had a lob to Obi Toppin for a dunk. Obi Toppin hit a 3 on the left wing as well. And this thing was literally over before the first quarter was over. It was complete domination. According to Cleaning the Glass, Indiana dominated the half-court battle. They had a 105 offensive rating in half-court. So they get 105 points per 100 half-court plays. The Knicks only got 80 points per 100 half-court plays. That's a 25-point per 100 play gap between the Pacers and the Knicks in this game. They out-rebounded them 52-43, 22-5 in fast break points, kind of what we were talking about in transition earlier, 60-40 in points in the paint. Just a complete and total ass kicking. Another 20-point game from Tyrese Haliburton. He's now averaging 19, 5, and 9 for the playoffs. He has a game winner in there as well. He's averaging 22 points per game in his last 7 postseason games, shooting 41% from 3 on 11 attempts over his last 7 playoff games. He's so good at coming off of those ball screens at a little bit of an angle and dragging the screen defender off to the side, but kind of baiting him into giving him that space and rising up and hitting that pull-up three-point shot. He's also just doing an absolutely beautiful job of generating advantages every single possession for his team. Every guy on that team, whether it's Miles Turner, Aaron Nesmith, Andrew Nembhard, Pascal Siakam, they're almost always operating with the defender closing out at them. And that's just a significant advantage that doesn't even show up in the box score because of the fact that if a guy gets, if Tyrese Haliburton comes off a ball screen and brings in a guy tagging from the weak side and throws a skip pass and that dude drives a closeout and makes a kick to Nesmith on the left wing and he hits a three, Tyrese Haliburton does not get an assist for that. A lot of times him breaking down the defense doesn't result in assists. And it's just so much easier to play basketball when a defender's closing out at you versus when he's in a set defense position. And I just think he's done an unbelievable job, especially in the last few weeks, of just consistently generating advantages for his team. And then I can't say enough about the job that Aaron Nesmith is doing on Jalen Brunson. It has completely changed the feel of this series. Brunson is just 16 for 43 in his last 2 games, looking a lot more like game 1 and 2 against the Sixers, just 2 for 11 from 3. He's visibly a lot less comfortable in that matchup than he is against pretty much anyone else on the floor. On the Knicks front, like I said, it is a war of attrition, but it extends beyond the injured players. Obviously, you're down 2 starters, Julius Randle, OG Anunoby, multiple bench pieces like Mitchell Robinson and Bojan Bogdanovic, but you're also just playing like a really tough brand of basketball. You're playing hard all the time. You're asking the healthy guys on your roster to do a lot. Josh Hart has been playing over 46 minutes per game in the postseason. That's second place among remaining players in the playoffs. And guess who's second place? Jalen Brunson, his teammate. The highest non-Knick remaining is Luka at 41.9 minutes per game. So Josh Hart's has the toughest workload in the league right now. Dante DiVincenzo is averaging over 44 or just beneath 44 minutes per game in this series with Indiana, not counting today, obviously. So it's just a heavy workload. And you just played on Friday night. That was 42 hours before the tip of this game. That's basically a day and a half. So I thought they clearly looked exhausted. Brunson started the game 0 for 5. He was struggling to get separation. He was leaving shots short on the rim. The whole team was struggling to get back in transition. There were so many of these plays. One of the big guys I noticed it with was Hartenstein, where I'm watching Hartenstein, like he's jogging up the floor. He's exhausted. Everyone on this team is really tired at this point. Now, here's the upside, though. You have 50-plus hours before Game 5. Everyone on your team played a relatively light minute load. Brunson still got over 30 barely, I think, and then I think Josh Hart got over 30, but nothing like what you've been doing the rest of this postseason, and you're going home. So rest up and just get back to playing Knicks basketball in Madison Square Garden in Game 5, and you're in a much better spot to try to regain control of this series. But the reality is your 5 best players are 4 guards and a center at this point, so you're physically overmatched, you're fatigued, you're missing some vitally important position groups. You're just not getting enough of the skill piece of things from Precious Achiuwa to kind of maintain that size on the floor. And so they kind of have to go with Deuce McBride in that spot. And obviously that opens up a whole other can of worms. So they've got a challenge in front of them, but I do think a good hefty rest off of a lighter workload in Game 4 and going back to Madison Square Garden should give the Knicks enough to at least keep things really close in Game 5. And my guess is Game 5 is going to be another classic Knicks playoff game where it's like, tied game with 5 minutes left, and it's going to be who can create shots better, Tyrese Haliburton versus Jalen Brunson. We will obviously be there live after those games on Tuesday night. That's all I have for this particular video. Like I said, we're going to be back tonight with Colin Cowherd after Wolves Nuggets. That one's not going to be live, so you're just going to want to check out the Colin Cowherd podcast feed. Check, I would say a couple hours after the end of that game, and it should be uploaded. If I see the link, I'll tweet it out as well. But I really appreciate you guys. Don't forget about Celtics Cavs from earlier today, and then I'll see you guys later tonight with Colin.